You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, where creativity is showcased in its many dimensions. A time to celebrate, empower, inspire, and equip creatives with thought-provoking interviews and up-to-date information. Welcome once again to my show called Unleash Your Creativity. And I am so excited. I cannot believe it's been 1 week already. Now, for those of you who are just joining for the first time, it would be great for me to just give you a little quick insight to what my show is about and what to expect. So, the show obviously is about creativity. It is where we showcase creativity, we breathe creativity, we live in creativity, we embrace creativity, we enjoy creativity, and of course, we celebrate creativity. And I am your host. And it is my job on this platform to make sure that indeed I do everything to please you and to bring that creative community together. In addition to that, I am going to be entertained. You are going to be entertained with my guest, Vinuyon, and she's going to tell you a lot about herself. I am just so intrigued. I've read her bio. I'm thinking, how am I going to get all of this in 1 hour? So we're going to start. But before I do that, I'm going to tease you into a bit about what she's going to be talking about, and it's going to be about talking as a hobby that now generates income. You know, I had to pause to say, talking, can it? And I did my research, and I'm going to be sharing some of my research with you. But before I bring her on, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to briefly say why we're talking about hobbies. Why am I so passionate about it? And I'm passionate about it because it links in with my signature program, which helps people to turn their hobbies into money. So your hobby, your passion, your craft, your skill to help you to turn that into money. So we're going to briefly unpack, because I don't like to assume. The educator hat in me doesn't like to assume. So we're going to quickly look at, what does hobby mean? What is that definition of hobby? And the dictionary says a hobby is what you do regularly for pleasure and for leisure. And as I've said, maybe you've heard me say this, it does not give you the opportunity to earn. So the creative in me has come up with my own definition, and I'm going to tell you what that is. And I've used the acronym HOBBIES, and it says having the opportunity to believe, benefit, and implement enjoyed skills. So when you combine both of them, the dictionary definition plus my definition, not only can you have pleasure, leisure, you can earn. So now that brings me into why I'm going to be talking to Vinuyon today. Because she said, and it's on social media, that her hobby is talking. So I've always promised you content. I've always promised you. So my promise is that by the time you finish listening to my guest, you're going to go away and think, is talking my hobby? And if it is, I better get working. I better start earning me some good money, but not just earning money, impacting the lives of people. And that is what she does. Now, this is where the fun begins as I bring on my guest, Vinuyon Ramos. And I hope I pronounced that right. Now, before I bring her on, I will highlight a few things, some keywords that stood out for me when I was looking at her bio. And we're going to be unfolding that as we go along. Vinuyon is an entrepreneur and a change catalyst, an advocate for women empowerment. She is the founder and CEO of Vinuyon Ramos Coaching. She also coordinates a mentoring platform for young adults. Welcome to the show, Vinuyon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I call you sis because I know you're in different forums. You're a sister to me. You're my friend. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for this initiative, Unleash Your Creativity. It's an honor to be here on your radio show. I'm looking forward to a lovely hour of talking.
I know. And I was saying before we got on that, you know what? I'm going to have to be very disciplined so I don't run away with your vision and then we get caught out and we say, do you know what? Part 2. So we want to cram at least as much as we can. So I'm going to start. The first time that I heard you saying that was when you invited me to speak on your platform. And I was thinking, what's our people's hobbies? And then you said, mine is talking. And I had to pause to think, to say, really? That was new. Can it? But before I go into the nitty-gritty, I'd like you to first of all tell me, what does a change catalyst do? What does that mean?
Awesome. So my core belief is that all things are possible to them that believe. That is my starting point at all times. And having been a Christian for quite a while, I got to a point where I realized that it's not about just knowing this God. It's about knowing this God and being able to do what he has asked us to do to get the result that he has offered us in the promises, which is the Bible. And many of us, including me, I was living life below the level I expected when I gave my life almost 40 years ago. Something had to change because I understand that change is required if you want to get a different result, but we tend to do the same thing and we expect change. It means you want to change to get the right mindset, the right belief systems in place to get the required result. It becomes a challenge. To develop the right habit, the right mindset, the right routines, all those things become a high hill challenge and people struggle. So now that I understand what is going on, I'm thinking I can help you make that change quickly. So that's the catalyst in me, helping you to transform, to change so that you can see the result that you've always tried to see, to create your world and to bring heaven on earth, which is what God desires. So that's where the change catalyst came in, to create your world and to bring God's purpose in your life to be fulfilled.
Fantastic. I know that you also work in the circular world, and I believe that you also take that change catalyst element to the world, because I don't want anybody listening to me to miss out and say, okay, there's an add-on, but does it still apply to people out there?
Oh, yes, it does. So I've been in project management for the last 18 to 19 years. And if you understand what projects are set up for a change. It's about bringing about a change within a time frame to a particular amount of money, to a cost, to a budget, and with a scope in mind. And it's always time bound. So to do anything that will bring a change, you have to manage the change. So I've lived my life working in the secular world, worked in Barclays, worked with Lloyds, worked with the FCA, the regulators, worked in the public sector, foreign and commonwealth office, worked with the police. I worked around, but all it was to bring about change and transformation in those companies and in those organizations. So how much more in a human life? So I've transferred the knowledge from change management to life change management to bring about a desired outcome. Hence, in every space you find me, I'm the catalyst bringing about change, making change.
Fantastic. That is very rounded. And I hear the passion. I hear the passion in your voice. So I'm now going to zone into the topic of today, which is talking. I just wanted to find out, when you realize that you enjoy talking, and we're talking about talking, I love looking up words. So I looked at the dictionary. What does talking actually mean? And it says engage in speech, which means it's a conversation that is not just with one person.
Mm-hmm.
How did it start? How did you actually realize that, wow, I can talk? And it's different from what everybody else does. When did that aha moment come for you?
So I would say that it took a while for me to see it as a gift and as a tool and as a passion. So I could talk for Africa. As if you let me talk, I can talk and talk and talk. And I just love talking. Waking me up middle of the night, I would talk. I would just talk. And as a kid, they used to say to me that I had a nickname, which was, it's called, in my dialect in Yoruba, they used to call me Atawewe. In English, it means pepper. And that means that you're just very, very, very verbose, very peppery, just speak and just say it and just talk and talk and talk. But the things I used to say, my late mom would say to people that listen and make notes. So even though I was talking as a child, there was something about what I said that had meaning beyond what people were hearing. But I didn't realize there was anything to it. I just kept talking and talking. And then at some point when she died, I was shut up because all I had was negativity about my talking. You talk too much. You don't think before you talk. Can you just stop talking? So that shut me off for quite a while. But the gift was still there. And there's a saying in the Bible that the gifts and calling of God are without repentance. So for me, I didn't see it as a gift per se until when people started saying to me that anytime you speak, something happens. Anytime you open your mouth, something happens. And then I realized that when I started thinking about my journey, I used to mentor a group of women, about 100 plus women up until 2020. And every time we had a program or had to talk in those meetings, I didn't have to prepare. People would prepare. In fact, I used to make a joke about my mentor then. She would come with her PowerPoint, her notes, and I just loved her structured way of doing things. And I thought, why can't I just be like this? And this time I said, people say, no, just be you. And I'm like, I don't like this scattered Vinuyon. I just open my mouth and I talk. But guess what? At some point in 2020, I realized that it's a gift. Every time I open my mouth, people say, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, what was that? Then I started to hone in on the skill. So as a coach now, yeah, I have to prepare a little bit, but like for this radio show, for instance, you gave me no warning. I didn't even think I remember the topic until when we started just now that, it's about speaking. So I haven't had a chance to even think of what I would say, how I would say. So I'm just trusting that the gift will make room for me today. But I came to the understanding that it's a gift when the feedback was coming that you don't need to prepare. You just open your mouth. Because every time I'll say, oh my God, I have a meeting today and I'm not prepared. And then when I show up at the meeting, they will say you are really a fraudulent woman. What do you mean you didn't prepare? I'll say, but I didn't. Or I say I prepared about 10 minutes ago. I actually, and I didn't know. You couldn't have done that in 10 minutes. That's when I realized that talking is a gift from God that I best just hone the skills and harness it and begin to use. And I've loved it ever since I came to terms with it that I can talk.
You know what? I'm really intrigued. But, as you said, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a colleague. I sit under your mentorship, so there are different roles that you play. And one thing is that not sounding, when you think, you can talk, and I see you in person, it's really honest, almost like an oxymoron. It's like, no, she looks so quiet. She looks so reserved. She doesn't. So it's almost like, you're hiding power behind the frame. And then it's almost about shocking people. So my question is, do you shock people, when they see you and then you now take the stage, you take the platform and you speak? Is there like, really? Who is it? Have you experienced that?
Oh, yes. So there was one meeting I was in, and this lady, we had been together in different Zoom, because since the COVID and all these virtual meetings. So we've been in so many meetings together. So I know of her, she knows of me. We then met in person in January 20, I think it was January 2020. I can't remember what program, or July 2022. And I went up to her, she looked at me and thought, gosh, is this her frame? And she didn't say anything on the day. So when I had another meeting and somebody was now thanking me for something I'd done, and she goes, please, can I speak? And she went, I don't know if you've ever seen this girl. Guys, she's small. She's actually tiny. And then that day she took the stage and I'm like, oh my God, she just exploded the place. And I'm thinking, who does this? And I'm like, oh, really? So that was my first time of hearing somebody say, they saw my small frame and what came out of this person was not anything that they could relate to the person that they know and they see on the screen and they had seen at the door when they came in. So I do get, and now I'm aware that people say to me that, oh my God, I can't believe you are that kind of person. Don't come across like that to open your mouth. So yes.
So you're a powerhouse hidden in what I like the way you said it, small frame. Because I was thinking, how do I articulate this in a politically correct way? So thank you for helping me out there. Now, from the time that you knew that, okay, now this is a gift and this is something that is a tool and this is something that I use. One of the things that I talk about is there's a transition, because obviously you know that there is a gift. You can express yourself through words, but then using it as a tool, like you mentioned a number of places that you worked, and I'm going to pick up on that later. How was that transition of knowing? Because a lot of people want to know, how do I transition from, okay, example, we're talking about talking, to now going, I can use this as a tool. What was that transition like? And yeah,
I like the word transition. It's really the change when the light bulb moment came in. So I have a lot of gifts. I'm very creative. I make cakes. I do wedding decorations. I do flower arranging. I do so many things. I do them because the creativity is from within me. And I always struggle to make money from because it was natural to me. Because it was natural to me, I did it because I loved doing it. And I didn't think I was good enough to make money because it didn't come with a cost or a price. So that was a challenge I faced as a person. So when I see people who do it in a very professional way, as in they've gone to the school and they've perfected the skills and I'm like, oh my God, I can never be that good. So I need to go to school to learn more. But it's something I have been given naturally, but I've never been comfortable enough to put it out there for a prize. So when I thought about talking, I'm like, I can't talking. At least people create things and they collect money. I'm struggling. There is it talking that they'll pay me for. I struggled. But then when I realized that the likes of Steve Harvey, the likes of Oprah, they're making money by talking. So I asked myself that, okay, the talking that they're talking, the speech, what is it? What is it about? It's about opening your mouth and making impact what comes out of your mouth. That when people hear it, they cause a transformation. So it's not about the skill per se, it's about the gift in me, which I will tell somebody out there that when even the Bible says your gifts will bring you before kings. You have to understand that it's not something you work hard for. It's there. It's about you appreciating and giving it value. So the shift happened when I started hearing people tell me, and I used to compare myself to a lot of people. I wanted to be a kind of talker, a kind of presenter. And I'm like, no, that's not you. They read scripts. They went to a finishing school. They paid for that. You have it naturally. You have a different way of presenting your one. Own your space, own your personality, own the way you've been given, and then build on it and make something out of it. And I realized that even if I can't get paid for this radio show, even if I can't get paid for a phone call that somebody asked me to help them and I'm talking and I'm just giving them advice or counseling them, there are things I can do by sharing my voice on social media. Somebody hears what I say and they say, oh, come and speak to my congregation or to my audience. Oh, I will charge for that. If they ask me to come and feature somewhere, it is now going to be like, I think that deserves money. That is the transition that's happened now. So I still will talk anywhere, but the time where you call me to speak as a speaker, now I know that I'm worth the money. I can put a price on it. But that happened only the last 2 years because I realized that if you don't harness this gift, this hobby, this thing you have naturally, then it will never bring you before kings because you don't value it. I started to value it and I started to put a price on it. So it happened the last 2 years. That change in my mind happened about 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's very profound and very interesting because you being a change catalyst for other people, you're also living that change within you constantly.
Yep.
And something that I picked up on there was that the fact that you may not have gone to a speaker school or a speaker academy, but what you have done directly or indirectly is that you have been self-taught. You've now come to realize how you speak. You've come to realize how you present. And definitely you have been practicing and reflecting and owning your space, your style.
Correct.
Is that
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
Fantastic. And I have been enjoying the company of Vinuyon, and I believe and I know without a shadow of doubt that you have also. We've learned, she's unpacked talking, she's unpacked the journey of talking, she's unpacked the transition, she's unpacked the fact that she's a change catalyst, not only to other people, but also to herself. And as I said, I'm going to be unfolding her bio bit by bit. So she's touched on some of the areas, but again, I'm going to behave like I did not hear. And I'm going to ask, I'm going to zone in on that again because there are other questions that are going to be unpacked. So for those that may have just joined, Vinuyon has worked across public and private sector organizations such as Her Majesty's Foreign and Commonwealth Service, Her Majesty's Home Office, UK National Policy Improvement Agency. You mentioned earlier that 2 years ago was when you actually zoned into the fact that talking was an asset, as a core asset. But obviously, you've been working in all of these environments. On reflection, do you think that talking, how has talking influenced your
Oh,
journey within
mm,
all these organizations? And I'm going to use the word subconsciously
oh,
because you weren't really quite sure you were doing it. And
yeah,
there's
it
a reason
wasn't.
why I asked that question.
It's a very beautiful question because it wasn't intentional. I was just being me, and that's why it's a gift. It's not something I knew I was doing. So, like you rightly said, for everywhere I worked, for the first 5 years, I had to apply for the job, and then subsequent to that, I was recommended for the job. But each time I reached out to anybody in my network, they would just get me on board because they wanted me to work with them. And what they would say to me is that they just loved the energy I brought into the room. And the only way my energy can be experienced is my talking. It's not just about coming to a room and sitting down there and then they feel your energy. No, my energy is experienced in my talking. And I'm very, very optimistic as well. So I realized I'll give you a good example. I had a program manager I worked with in the FCA, and is passed on now. He was visually disabled. He couldn't see. But I'd worked with him prior to this particular project I'm going to make reference to. And what he said to them was he wanted a PMO to work for him. And I reached out to the company at that point, to my contact there. And the contact went to him and said, "Oh, Vinny is looking for work. Would you like her to work with you?" And they said he was so elated. I said, "I would have her immediately." So when I heard that feedback and I started working, I said, "Why did you want me so bad?" I said, "Vinny, even though I can't see you, I feel you.
Wow.
Anytime you're around me, I feel right. I feel good. The things you say to me make me love me and make me love coming to work. So having you back in my space was something I would not compromise." And I worked with him till when I left the company, within 6 months, he passed on. And he used to text me in hospital. And I would text him and I would encourage him. And he said, "It's not been the same since you left. I actually don't like working." And I thought, wow. And that really, really made an impact on me. I still have his text messages. It really made an impact on me. And the only thing this guy could do wasn't like he saw me or saw the work I did per se. It was in conversation. It was the things I said to him, how I helped him manage his day, how I made him reflect. So in my secular world, everybody who recommends you for a role, when I ask them, "Why do you think I was going to jump?" "Oh, Vinny, when you're around, everything gets done. You know how to talk to people, engage people, make people do things." And I started thinking, looking back now, there's a way I obviously interact with people and communicate. I might not be the best communicator, but somehow when I open my mouth to speak, I communicate something that makes people do what they need to do and get the job done somehow.
I personally have experienced that firsthand. I said, "By the way, I want to do this." He said, "Yep." And let's get Daria, let's choose a date. I'm like, whoa, we're here for conversation. No, let's just do it. I'm like, okay. So yes, so I validate. I validate. So I can't, I can imagine, but I can't imagine that on a daily basis. That would be fireworks. And I also think that when you do have energy, I know people do say that I also have a kind of energy. When you now see it reciprocated to you, you're going, "Oh, whoa. So this is what I put people through." So I want to ask you that question. Has anybody projected that kind of, that energy on you, your mentors, your coach, and you're going, "No, hold on. And does it make you think, wow, this is what I put other people through in a nice way?
Yeah, I think there are two ways to look at it. When I get people that don't have energy, I want to ignite them. They need to get energy. When I work with that have energy, we're almost like setting the place on fire. So I get excited. So I can't say I've ever seen anybody that overpowers me with their energy. I think it just makes me feel like laughing, like, "Oh my God, energy hits energy. This is going to be explosive kind of thing." And it creates an excitement, a bubble in my spirit. But when I'm now pushed to do things that I think is beyond me, and I'm told, in the past when I'm told you can do it, I know I said that to a lot of people. That was when I was like, okay, this is what I would preach to somebody else. I better hear this person telling me this, and I believe in myself. So those are the times I feel like, oh my God, I can't even tell this what I can't do, but this is what I will tell somebody else. So I'm now in the hot seat, having to deliver to this person's energy and demand on me. So those are the times like you rightly said, I feel like, oh my God, okay, I'm getting to sit in the seat now and receive the same things I dish out to other people. So yeah, once in a while that happens. Yeah.
Good. So for all of you that have been put through, at least this is your payback time to say, yes, so coach, you also get somebody dishing it out a little bit more.
Oh, yes.
Now, when sometimes we talk about energy, and we talk about that spark, sometimes we can think that by default means that that person is very confident, or that person is very bold. Because I know people will be going, yeah, well, she can talk, she's bold, she's confident. I disqualify myself. No, and you can't see us in the studio, but she's frantically shaking her head, going, no. So do you want to speak to that, so that people who are listening can build some confidence to know that, you know what, regardless of whether bold or confident or not, if I sense that I have this gifting, I can still do something about that.
So, like I said, even though people tell me and give me feedback every time I speak, the impact I've had, the aha moment, the shift, it didn't give me any confidence in me speaking. And I said, no, I did not believe them. I just felt like, you know what, guys, yeah, you will say that because you're my friends. Yes, you will say that because you're this. But something happened to me. So I was in a program once, and my friend was with me on that program. And I was going to ask a question. And this guy doesn't know me from Adam. I'd heard of him because I went to his program, because I heard of him and I'd heard him speak. And I thought I'd like to be under this guy's mentorship. So I was in the program. He didn't know of me. He'd never seen me. Doesn't know who I am. And I asked a question. As I put my hand up to ask a question, first he said was, hold on, are you a speaker? So this time I thought, speaker, no. Says you are a powerful speaker. You project power as you speak. You sound like one. And I was like, really? So when I finished asking my friend said, now, I hope now you know that we're not lying. And this is a stranger that told you. Was it easy for me to still believe? I still did not believe. But I have to keep going back to that, but this guy doesn't know you. What did he see? And it's time for you to begin to think deep. It's not easy to accept it because it's a gift. It's so natural. But it's time to begin to think that if people are telling you that you're good, I love your cakes. Oh, I love you when you do something. There's something there that you are just not allowing yourself to embrace. There's a limiting belief that you need to deal with, because they can't all be lying to you. A stranger can't lie to you. Even if your friends are just trying to make you feel good, a stranger can't lie to you. There's something in there. And that's when I said to pay attention. When God said to me, don't cast your pearls before swine, I thought, what pearls do I have? And one day I said, what pearls do I have that I said I should stop casting my pearls? So your time and your energy when you speak is something I give you. It's a pearl. Use it. Do business with it till I come. And I was like, oh my God, this is a pearl. So that's when. So it's not something that will happen overnight, but it's about you paying attention to your skills, to your gifts, to what people praise you for, what people tell you that, oh, Shola, when you do this for me, I can't just do it. Just do a nice arrangement with balloons for me. I love when those comments are not flippant. It's time to pay attention to them. So that for me is very, very key, that it doesn't happen overnight, but guys, you need to understand that if it's a gift, it's time to harness it. It took me a while, but now I get it, and I'm paying attention to the gift more than ever. Hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, it does. And the back of that is that when you pay attention, it ignites your boldness, it ignites your confidence, and then they work hand in
Actually,
hand.
so let me add a point. So now, and another thing, I mean, I'm not trying to make it so Christian, but there was once God gave me a vision about people that were oppressed. And in that vision, it was very, very gory. It was very oppressive and very upsetting for me. And he said to me, listen, he said, do you know how you're going to deliver these people I sent you to? He said, it's in what you say, how you say it. When you open your mouth, it brings about deliverance. It changes your perspective. You're not just talking anymore. So when I show up to talk these days, I'm now more intentional. Or like before, I'll just show up and God will just move and things will happen. But now I check in, and let God now use me and speak through me, or do whatever you have to do. And it's slightly different now because I'm now more intentional, targeting my voice, targeting my thought process in a way that I know that I'm making impact beyond how I used to do it flippantly, like just shooting targets anyhow, like having a weapon and just shoot it anyhow. And there's some of them will hit the target, some would. But right now, it's now targeted, it's now harnessed. I'm now building it up to a point where if you hear me this time next year, I can guarantee you that Some of you will be falling off your seats when I speak, even in your room. That's where I'm going.
And I say amen to that. Now, honestly, we can go on forever. And I did say I'm going to have to be extremely disciplined, because I'm not just listening, I'm listening intentionally, and I'm listening with, with that intent. And I know that our listeners are doing the same thing. And I mean, boldness and confidence is really, and I hear something that you've said, consistently in terms of gifts. Sometimes there are people who don't even know they have that gift. Some people might be going, they just write themselves off that, you know what, talking, and they may have it. They may, and there are people who develop gifts that they like. It might not be their dominant gift, but they develop that gift. So what would you say to somebody who's not really sure whether they have, let's use your gift as talking, but they think, you know what, I like this. I like this because I like what the results that it will give me. Because in any sphere of life, you really need to be able to articulate your message.
Awesome.
No matter where you are. What would you say as a tip or as a takeaway for somebody who wants to just enhance being able to articulate and engage with people? What would be one tip before we go on our next break?
I would say that it's almost thinking about your audience and what they want to hear from you. That if you were the person on the other side, what would you want to hear? And just zero into being able to give that. It's not the how, it's the heart behind what you're doing. So not everybody's going to speak like I speak, or I've heard speakers that are very gentle in their approach and they communicate powerfully. I've heard speakers that when they speak, people feel that their voice is so calm and so soothing, they can listen forever. So everybody has an audience. So I think it's just about you understanding that if you want to have an impact on somebody, what is your own way of creating that impact to get that effect on the other person? Your own way is always unique. There's no one way. And I always say something, guys. When a student is ready, the teacher will show up. The minute you know you want to do something, the universe has a way of bringing to you what will validate you. Like I said that the guy didn't have to say, are you a speaker? The universe had to use a strength, tell her that she's a speaker so she would know. You will be amazed that things will come to confirm to you that you can. So the question, the answer, the word to you is then please just do it like Nike. Just do it. And don't waste time like I wasted time. Just go ahead and do it and build on it. You don't need to be strong in it from the day you start. Just believe and go for it, is what I would say.
We're going to talk about what also is very close to my heart, and it's about creativity. And you've touched on it, that we have some commonalities in terms of event planning, in terms of cake decorating, in terms of all of that, and I feel that maybe that now has become a hobby for you that you do without thinking, you know what, I don't need to get paid for this. This is just my hobby. So first of all, I wanted to ask, what does creativity, that word, what does creativity mean for you? Because it's a big word and it means different things to different people. What does creativity mean to you?
So for me, in my journey in life, right, the things I've done, I'll give an example. Once we had a youth program in Nigeria, in my little town where I grew up, and it was something to do with bubbles, some youth program, and I was only about 14 then. I said, I'm going to make a cake. And I created a cake and I created a bubble effect on that cake. And I just sat down there and I just thought, how can I create a bubble effect? Right? And I think I put straws and I put around, I can't remember what I did. I know it wasn't marshmallow, something that looked like, I can't remember, but it looked so beautiful that it was so creative. So for me, it's being able to look inward and imagine something and bringing it to reality. It starts from imagination. So you want to, it's original and it's unique to you. And as you're asking me now, I'm beginning to understand that creativity is actually where you find fulfillment, because you see it and then you bring it into existence. And when I say create your world, which is my brand, it's about what do you see your world to be like? Then what is in you to create? And everything you need to create is already within you. So for me, it's looking inward and bringing what you see on the inside, outside. That is creativity for me.
Tell us a little bit about that journey. and how you use talking to empower women in the creative world, allowing them to fulfill their dreams and be free of all limitations. And that's a quote from your bio. So, yeah.
So, like I said, one of the metaphors I use to coach is the bottle metaphor. And the bottle metaphor is that everybody imagining this was born into a particular environment, a particular home background, belief system, way of doing things, one part of the world or the other, very humble background or very affluent, opulent background, whatever it is you were born into, it can be symbolized in a bottle. So that bottle might look very beautiful, very rich, very expensive, or very cheap, broken, chipped, dirty, but it is still a bottle. You're still contained and you're still constrained. So what I do with my women or with anybody who comes to me for coaching is that picture was it was a download from God to me. And the creativity of it is actually still evolving because it tells me that whatever has kept you in that state you're in is constraining you. But there's more to you than that thing. You are not your background, you're not your bottle, you're not your whatever your father, your mother believed and they fed into you. That was a programming that formed something in you. Now, there's a lot of creativity in you. There's a world you desire that you see when you close your eyes. There's a dream you have that is yet to be unlived, that has to be lived out of you. And that can't happen until you break out of the limitations that life has put you under. So my journey is to help you understand that which you see, like I said in my last comment, that which you see within you is something that you are given the power to create. And what you need to create it is already in you, is your gifts. You already have everything you need to be that person and do that thing you so desire to do. It's not outside of you, it's within you. So how do we go inside of you to now build you up on the inside to break the thing on the outside that is holding you bound, which is your life's experiences, your life's challenges, the bottle. And I take you on a journey by speaking to you with my words, by you listening to me. I take you on a journey from the bottom of the bottle up to the bottleneck where it becomes challenging. Then people give up and go back and say, you know what, this is too tough. I'm going back to the bottom of the bottle. You would hear my voice like the Hollander Holyfield, like the Muhammad Ali coach, like the Rocky Balboa coach, saying you can do it and you will do it. My speaking comes into place. I keep tearing you on. I tell you to break the limit. You can do it. You can do it. And my last masterclass where we broke the limit, the testimonies were crazy. People saw bottles shatter. They saw themselves pushing through. They saw themselves pushing through the bottle like a child that cannot be stopped, that has to be birthed into this world of limitless possibilities. So my talking, my speaking, my coaching, you would hear my voice as a coach, tell you can, and you come under my tutorship or my coaching and stay in the bottle. Every bottle gets shattered. My voice and the energy and the frequency shatters the bottles. So that's me and what I use my speaking to achieve in life.
And I know that even those listening, there are bottles shattering. Even the ones that I thought were not, they have started to crumble. So that is so powerful. So you're actually getting a taster. You're getting a taster. And you're getting that taster for free because she's honoring this invitation to speak and to share. However, if people feel, you know what, I've enjoyed you so much, I need more, where can they find you?
So it's easiest for you to go to my website, VinuyonRamos.com, where you see my world of possibilities, where you see my coaching, my project management, my events, my creativity is all on my website, or on Instagram, Coach Vinuyon Ramos, or on Facebook, Coach Vinuyon Ramos, and also my personal page, Vinuyon Ramos. They're all linked. Or just send me an email, Vinuyon@VinuyonRamos.com. I'll be ready to serve you at any point in time.
I introduced something which is going to be a continuous thing on the show, and it's about, did you know? The facts about whatever that topic I'm discussing. And I did a litmus test on you. And I'm gonna reveal. Actually, it was after that I did you know? And I looked at it and I thought, wow, this is actually a litmus test on Vinuyon. So I'm going to tell you what I did. So I thought, let me find out, because you talked about talk. So I said, let's, Google is a friend. Let's find out what are high paying careers for people who love to talk. So I'm going to give you some of them, and then I'm going to summarize by giving a caption which finalizes your bio. And then it will give you some food for thought. These are, as it were, when I did it, it said counseling psychologist. It said an air traffic controller. So don't start thinking about that. It says advertising sales representatives, salespeople, teachers, broadcast reporters, lawyers, politicians, public relations specialists, event planners. And then I thought, okay, now let me put the final piece. Vinuyon is an integrated coach certified in Neuro-Linguistics Programming, that's NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, life performance and executive coaching, and a psychotherapy, and she has a psychotherapy with a bachelor and psychotherapy. So it's like executive coaching and psychotherapy, and a bachelor degree in psychology. And I put under that, what next? So, but and in another place, coaching was also part of what people who love to talk. So I'm looking at the list and I'm thinking, I've got 10 things here. She's already done 8. There are about 2 left. And I'm not even sure whether she actually even knows that. So you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing, you're ticking the right box, and you've actually have found your gifting. You are using your gifting. We celebrate you, for what you're doing. And I hope I have not put any thoughts in your head by deciding to be an air traffic controller. And in terms of, not even being a lawyer, you advocate for people. You advocate. So in that spot, you are wearing the hat of somebody who, in quotes, is that who holds some of the things that a lawyer would do, because you advocate for people. So it's just awesome to just
wow, that is quite enlightening. That is
so that was my litmus test
on
you, and I thought, yes, I will end with that. So it has really been an amazing pleasure having you on the show.
You have been listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.